Hi everyone, welcome to today's tutorial, and today in this video I will be covering one of the most basic tools used in Adobe Photoshop, which is the eraser tools. Now the eraser tools, as I mentioned, is actually really simple to use, and as you can see that the eraser tool is right over here, right? So I will be covering these three eraser tools. The eraser tool, which is the most basic one, the background eraser tool, and the magic eraser tool, right? So let's start with the most basic one, which is the eraser tool, right? So as you can see that I have already opened up my image right here, and let's make a doodle on this image, right? So to do that, I will be making a new layer, and I'll just rename this layer 1 for now to be doodle, right? So for example, I use my brush tool and I make some kind of like a squiggly line going across my image right here. Okay. So for example, you want to get rid of this doodle, right? To do that, we can use the brush tool, and I'm going to make sure that my opacity and my flow both are in 100%. And of course, I can decrease or increase the size from over here. Right, so I'm going to stick to 600 pixels right now. And you can just use the erase tool to get rid of the doodle like this. So you see, it's that easy. Right, so I'm just going to temporarily also just get rid of this doodle layer as well. So now two things that I want you to remember that you can also do with this eraser tool, right? So for example, if there's something on the image itself that I want to get rid of, right? So if I use the eraser tool like this as it is, and notice that my background, that the image is locked, this white color comes up. The reason being because that the background color is white. So by default, whenever I use the background, or like if I use the eraser tool, this background color of white is gonna come up, and it's kind of like, even though it's erasing or removing some of the portions of this image, it's also kind of like applying a solid white color on your image like that. Okay, so Control Z to deselect. I'm sorry, Control Z to undo. And if I do the same thing, if I flip this color around, the same thing is going to happen, except the color black is going to come like that. Okay. Now the second thing is that, like, what if, for example, if I want my background to have a transparent background, right? So you can get that as well if you just unlock this layer. So by unlocking it, it automatically gets renamed to layer 0 right over here. And now if I use my eraser tool, and if I erase it, you can see that the background now becomes transparent like this, right? So this was the eraser tool. Now I'm going to show you what the magic eraser tool does right here. Okay, as you can see that my cursor gets changed. So the magic eraser tool is a lot like the magic wand tool that I had already covered in one of my previous videos. So what it does is that it'll, like, if you select a certain color, it's going to remove that color from your image like this. So you can see that if I select this color like this, it automatically starts getting removed. Right, so but you get the gist, right? So if there's any portion that you think it's left, you just select on that portion and it starts getting deleted like that. So some of these small things might be left for you to remove, right? So like that. So this was the magic eraser tool. And so I'm just going to click on Ctrl plus Z to undo. I'm going to bring everything back like this. Okay. So now I'm going to come and so now I'm going to show you what the background eraser tool does. right? So obviously my eraser tool is really small, so I'm going to increase the size like this by clicking onto the bracket keys of my keyboard. And as you can see that there is this one particular plus sign right here in the middle, right? So if I select this, like this is again extremely similar to the eraser tool. But what it does is that it will help you to get rid of the background like this. Right? So you have to be careful like this. So as you can see that even though I have overlapped a little bit on the leaves, you can see that the background is starting to get removed. Right? So I'm going to show you how you can use the background eraser tool again, but slightly differently. Right? So I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to fill this layer 1 with a solid color. So I'm just going to fill it up. Let's say I'm going to fill it up with, let's say, this dark maroonish brownish shade. And I'm just going to bring this layer below my background like this. Right? So like this. Okay. Now if I come back to my layer, I had to unlock this. And then if I use the background eraser tool, you will see that the that you are able to see the background color like this. Right? So you can also increase the tolerance like this for a smoother transaction like this. I mean, even in the contagious, you can use this find edges like this. And you can see that the limits, even though you can play around with the limits and see which one actually suits best for you. And then you can use this kind of an eraser like that. Okay, so you can see that this eraser is starting to take some kind of a shape, and this was the background eraser tool. So majority of the times what we designers use is the most basic eraser that we use is the common eraser tool right here, which was this first option right here. Is the most simplest and the most easiest eraser tool that we all use. And sometimes we actually do use the magic eraser tool as well, but we don't really use the background eraser tool as much. So that was it. So this was just like a very brief video about the three types of eraser tools and how each eraser functions a little differently from the other eraser tool. So that's it. So now that we've come to the end of our video, I hope you found this tutorial to be useful. So thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.